Yeah, we were just flipping through the emails that the Washington Post has put up. They've got a multitude of them on there. They're all readily available, which is something that the right wing doesn't seem to understand. The Glenn Becks of the world, the Ben Shapiro's, the Tucker Carlsons, all seem to think that we can't go and look at the entirety of the email chain, or that we didn't all live through it and know that information was coming in and changing strategy based on new information the entire time we were there, including the fact that over the course of the first 6 months of last year, we all learned the value of masks over time along with the science. There were studies done in Denmark. I read one on my stream yesterday. There were studies in France. There were studies at the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins, and all of them came up that if you wear a mask, the infection rate goes down. Period. End of story. And in the areas where infection rate goes down, not only does the infection rate go down, but also the death rate goes down because people are exposed to less virus when everyone is socially distanced and wearing masks. That's how it works. And no one is surprised by this. We're all adults. We also know that what they might have thought about masks, because they were really they think in terms of surgeons wear masks so that droplets from what they're carrying don't get the flu in somebody's wound while they're saying sponge, is one of the main reasons why a surgeon wears a mask is not to protect them from you, it's to protect you from them. They wash up, put on gloves, they wear a mask, so they, because they're acting out in the world. You've been in an ISO ward prepping for surgery. You haven't eaten for 24 hours, I hope, if you're a decent human being. Don't do that to your doctor. They tell you not to eat before the procedure. Don't eat before the procedure. It's a mess. It's messy for people. It's wrong. And yeah, it's worse than, believe me. It's far worse. It's massive. I'd have to go full Stephanie Miller on, it's a massive,
Captain's log.
I'm just saying you're in danger if that's the case. Now, before I get into the next things of the Fauci emails, we do have a couple of callers. Who do we have first, Lady B? Yeah, we do.
Robert from Florida.
Excellent. Robert from Florida. How are you, dear?
Hey, Tim Hale. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey. Good. You were going to ask a question on the other side. I thought maybe I'd be the first to answer, but let's. What do you got?
Sure. Okay. So the main one being is that they are now pushing from these Fauci emails their belief that the virus was created in a lab in Wuhan on purpose and released on purpose. This is the premise that they're rolling with. And my question is, how does that not make Trump look worse? Because he was president, and people who watch the regular live stream have heard me say this ad nauseum, but I can't hammer this point home hard enough. That if this is true, then Donald Trump was president during the greatest bioweapon attack in our nation's history. Something that, like a multitude of 9/11s, just off the charts. And what was his response? He signed a trade deal with the people that did it, and then in the middle of the pandemic, when our people were on food lines, he sold them the largest pile of beef, pork, corn, and soybeans in American history. How does that not make you look like beyond just a bad president, but like Chamberlain if he dated Hitler after the war?
I can answer that for you.
Okay.
They're never going to hear what you just said. They're never going to hear that on Fox, what you just said to them about how stupid he is for saying, look at Janos, I just talked to him, that little flu thing, it's going to be fine. He's got it under control. It's not a problem. Right. Don't worry, but it's going to be gone. So he's got all that. Not just those tips. There's like 8 hours of him kissing the guy's butt, right?
Oh, yeah. 15 times in 3 weeks. Like every time he was walking to Marine One, he had something nice to say about how she was being transparent and handling the pandemic, and that they were handling it very professionally, and our people were talking to them, and their people were talking to us, and we had people over there, and we were dealing with all this stuff. He just couldn't stop bloviating about how great they were. And then his whole thing about before the ink was dry, they had released this thing or whatever. Well, it's kind of the opposite, because
yeah, go
ahead.
People live in their bubble. hell, people live in their
Yeah.
bubbles, and they're never going to hear what you just said. But the thing is, too, is that he's also sold himself as a New Yorker that could play three-card Monte with anyone and win. You know, he's told everybody what a smart street guy he is. And look, he's gotten rolled over by the Chinese guy. You know, so that don't sell either. I mean,
right, exactly. Even if it's an accident, again, there is no way out of this where he doesn't look worse. Where, you know, like, yeah, that part stuns me.
Right. Well, hell, here we are again. I mean, this time it's, you know, it's beef. You know, 3 weeks ago, it was a pipeline, you know, and all
the hack. Right.
What's it going to take the Americans to wake the hell up over here? Is the Tostito factory got to go out on strike? I mean, got to get locked down by some cyber attack? I mean, what?
Well,
I mean, you saw crazy with toilet paper.
You know, it's a good question. And I would say, let's just go on the idea that you're aware that, let's say you're a person who's in a position of power, and you personally believe that China and Iran and maybe North Korea and maybe somebody else hacked our elections and tried to give it to Hillary Clinton, but you managed to win anyways. I don't know who you are in this scenario, but you can kind of follow along. And in this, you know that your own party and everyone around you is saying not only did they do it, but they're trying to do it again, and Russia's doing it constantly, and they're doing ransomware attacks nonstop, and it's affecting our economy, and they're doing everything they possibly can to kind of kneecap our economy, you know, for the next 15 to 20 years. Even if it's not Russia, China will, you know, is arguably stealing our intellectual property. There's all sorts of reasons why you would want CISA, you know, our cyber infrastructure group to be able to fight back across the board in all of our, you know, law enforcement entities. And what does he do? After the election, because the guy who was working at CISA said there was no foreign interference in our election, he fires him. Yeah. And effectively leaves it without a head for the rest of his term. For months.
But that's also Russia told them to do that. Fire that guy. This way, we got something every 2 months when Americans go to, you know, fill up their tank, there's no gas, or go to the meat market, there's no meat, or if they try to get a beer, and the fact, you know, the trucks are all broken. You know, I could slow roll this, you know, one after another, and then, you know, I can play stupid and say, hey, you know what? I don't control the people in my neighborhood. You know, they, you know, I don't know. You know,
anybody steps off the reservation, of course, I push them out the window. But I don't have control over my own people. They are patriots. They do what they love to do most of all. And if they don't patriot, like I like them to patriot, like a totally patriot compatriot, push them out the window. Third floor, best, I think.
We tried to make... We try to make extortion Olympic sport, you know. We win the gold, silver, and bronze. You know, no, but my wife has a great point. She says, listen, we got hackers here. Why not eye for an eye? When Joe goes to Switzerland to meet Biden, he can say, don't worry about it. We got it under control because you don't control yours, we don't control ours. You know what? If you don't want... And,
I don't want to. Right.
I don't think that's not happening.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to get, you know, out in front of this, but that is exactly what's going on. And a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, you know, I don't necessarily think America is 100% behind the gatherings around Alexei Navalny's, you know, being in prison and people getting out in the street. But let's understand that the Russians got Americans out in the street to support Donald Trump and think that Hillary Clinton was going to show up at an event in Florida where she was going to be jailed, and they showed up, and that was all Russian Facebook BS. We're doing a lot of that stuff too. We are absolutely, and it's going to get, and they've warned them, they've told them that there's a real eye for an eye about this. The problem the Russians have, and maybe the problem we have too, is that we have a more sound cyber infrastructure in the country. We have more tools available to us. It's more reliable. There's less cheating going on. We all, you know, we use these things, and there's enough security protections in and amongst ourselves that we tend to use them a lot more. You know, the Ciscos and all that kind of stuff throughout everything. In Russia, they don't trust each other the same way because people are always ripping each other off, and oligarchs run the day, and it's a gangster state anyways. So you don't really trust the stuff. So a lot of they're double, you know, layering stuff with paper. So a lot of Russia's still very backward. Again, the entire economy is smaller than Italy or California. You know, So there's only so much damage we can do. You know what I mean? It's like that old that joke from the original British Office. Like I heard they dropped a nuclear bomb on Slough. It cost $15 worth of damage. You have an issue with how much damage can you do to the cyber infrastructure of Russia when it sucks already? They don't even know where their nukes are. And if you think, by the way, that we're the ones really in danger from the rogue nukes that get loose from Russia, and that we're the only people who want them to make sure those things are tied up, ask Chechen rebels about that. Ask the Kazakhstani and Kyrgyzstani people. Right.
Right. How many breakaway republics that that they could not put a final? I think
absolutely.
When Russia, I think we went in there trying to buy them all. I think right when in like '92 or '93. I think we said, you know what? It's in our best interest to give Russia the money to go find these things, and we'll take care of it for them.
Yeah, we had a treaty with them that was doing precisely that. Absolutely. And they have loose arms that are more of their problems. They have loose MOABs that are a problem, but they're never going to get on a boat and bring them all the way over here and find a way to launch them. And the dirty bomb stuff that we were always afraid of, quite frankly, Russia's in more fear of that because it's close by. If you're Chechen rebels, and you believe that Russia is the big evil and America's second on the list, what are you going to do with that dirty bomb? You're going to try and get it in a plane and know that it can be tracked by the American satellites by its radiation and get it through somehow across the ocean in a boat, manage to get through the multitude of ports and locks that would check on it, or are you just going to load it on a truck and drive it to St. Petersburg as best you can? That's what you're going to, and that's what they deal with all the time. So it's gnarly. We got to take a break. I appreciate the call, Robert. Always wonderful to hear from you. We'll get to EO on the other side of this one. But still, nobody can answer that question. How does any of the revelations that, the worst possible scenario, that the virus was man-made, on purpose, released from China to attack the United States, and Donald Trump was president when it happened, and all he did was play footsie with them for 6 months and then sell them all of our beef, how does that make him look like anything worse than the worst world leader in history? Chamberlain ain't got nothing on Trump. We'll be back.